I was waiting for the free sausage sandwiches. It was like Bunnings.
Yeah. Any freebie,
Tony, he's an out-and-out aggressive player. Victor Radley, and of course, Hamoli Olakawatu. Talk about Mr. Aggressor. I can't wait to watch him play for New South Wales again.
Tony Staggs benefited from not playing for 2 weeks by doing something really stupid or not playing. So while he was out, Bradman Best goes down, Latrell goes down, and he basically slots straight in.
Stephen Bradbury.
And those two are likely to be on the same side, the same right edge. So good luck, left edge, Queensland.
How important?
Pack your boots.
How important is Game 1 here in Sydney? They just have to win. Right?
Yeah, every year. If you have to win your Origin game in your own backyard, because Game 2 we know we go to Melbourne, which I'm pretty sure, and I haven't fact checked here, but the last couple of times we have gone to Melbourne, we've won and won fairly convincingly. You don't want to be going to a decider at Brisbane. No. That's the last thing we want. So of course we have to come out and win, and I think we can win. We've got the team to win.
Laurie Daley, a lot of chat around the coach leading into this year's series. Lost last year, is off contract beyond this year. Regardless of the result, the Blues win 3-0, 2-1. Is he the coach next year? There's a bit of chat around it.
Yeah. The interesting thing is the revelation of Ivan Cleary deciding to pack him up at the end of next season when he comes off contract, and him suggesting that, this is something that interests me, like working in the representative arena. So is there like a bridging year, even if win, lose or draw, if Laurie decides to walk away, does somebody maybe only take the reins for 1 year and then Ivan steps in? So either way, I agree with you. I've just got this feeling that this could be Laurie's last season in charge.
Who's going to step in for a year?
Well, you got to look at his coaching staff. You got Boyd Cordner, who myself and the great Russian went to the True Blues Ball at the start of the week, and Boyd Cordner, along with Peter Sterling, were inducted into the New South Wales Rugby League Hall of Fame. Boyd Cordner's there. He's done a fairly decent apprenticeship now at the Roosters, and of course Matt King, who's also at the Roosters. You couldn't go wrong with either of those.
From them
those
personally,
men.
Do you sell it as a 1 year deal, or is it theirs to lose long term?
Well, I think it could be a precursor to them dipping their toe into the water and saying, "Yep, this head coaching thing's for me," and maybe they do it for a year and then they search for an NRL gig.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they're both very polished public speakers as well. I was actually surprised by Boyd Cordner on Monday night on stage. He was really, really impressive. Spoke with a lot of passion, very articulate. For those that weren't in the room, Peter Sterling, like I said, was also inducted, told a very funny story. They had the 1987 exhibition game in Long Beach, California, and the YouTube footage of Peter Sterling running out through the banner, which apparently was held together by glue and everything you can think of. He ran straight into it, and he said it was like running into a brick wall. And he got tangled up with all the sticky tape. And, of course, he's turned around to Royce Simmons. This is, again, Peter Sterling telling the cracking story. Looked at Royce and said, "What do you want me to do?" Royce just looked at him, told the boys, "We're going to run around the banner." And he maintains by the time he got on the field, Queensland were leading 12-0.
Can I just say, why has it taken 30-something years for Peter Sterling to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
It was a surprise, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know he's only played 13 State of Origins for New South Wales, but he's one of my heroes growing up. I just think he should have been there.
Going back to the original issue, though, Boyd Cordner, Matt King, and again, we're only assuming if Laurie's not there. Laurie doesn't need the money. Laurie owns half of North Sydney, but he's got that passion and he loves being around the boys. But of course, it's just whether or not he's got it in him at the end of this series.
You talk about whether he's got it in him. He takes it so personally. It takes a physical toll on him to the point where, like, when he first came and took over the Blues as coach, they lost that series in agonising circumstances, and he had shingles. He couldn't leave his bed. He couldn't leave the house. He just really wears every loss. So I can understand why he probably doesn't need that at this point in his life.
That's pretty much how Zach was feeling after Magic Round, but that's another story.
Me, MVP over here, this guy. Tales for off air. Just on the True Blue dinner and being out at the media day, what's the vibe around whether it's the players, other journos, or even those ex-players? Because there's so much chat around, say, the makeup of the team and the confidence in the team.
It was pretty quick because the first media op we had on Monday, day one of Origin 1 camp, there must have been about 1,000 media. Media you never see. Media you usually see once a year. It felt like a bit of speed dating at the start of the week because we didn't get the chance to really sink our teeth into too many interviews. But
the Penrith players also, they weren't there. They arrived late, so we didn't get to speak to them. So and every year you can add at least another dozen journos into the mix. There's new media, podcasters, bloggers, all those sorts of things. So
they're a good vibe. They're good players, in form. They go to camp. Magenta Shores, which is a beautiful part of the world. And I keep thinking, if you keep thinking about New South Wales in the Origin series this year, I know we talk about him so much, and we might touch on him later in this podcast, but Nathan Cleary and the form he's in, if he just turns up, as long as he doesn't get the wrong bus going to Sydney Olympic Park next Wednesday, they just win.
I think his halves partner is going to help him a lot too.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
That's a mock if I've ever seen one. We can't just focus on the Blues, got to focus on the Maroons as well. The big omission there, Reece Walsh. Do we know if there's any more reasons behind what they're saying publicly about why Reece Walsh, maybe not at fullback, but why he's not in there? He's got to be in the top 20 in their state.
Has to be. I would have thought that a six-man bench, an extended bench, is the perfect opportunity for him to be running at tired Blues forwards at the back end of halves. Can you imagine him and Ponga on the same field at the same time? I also thought another guy who could have been backs cover is Jackson Purdue, who can basically cover any position in the back line and the halves at a pinch as well. I was a little bit surprised that he was omitted, and obviously you've got Ezra Mam that can do that. But as a Blues supporter, I'm really glad that Reece Walsh is not there.
But I was watching him on Sunday night, and I love Reece Walsh. Reece Walsh had a September last year that we probably won't ever see again. We talk about Jared Hayne and that brilliant run, I think, in 2009. Reece Walsh's form at the back end of last year was nothing short of phenomenal. But I think he's had a couple of injuries this year. Even on Sunday, we were sitting there watching the game against the Warriors, and he had this funky headgear where he was covering where he's had the facial fracture. So he's obviously, Billy must know that he's not 100% fit. And looking at the form of Hamiso this year and Kalen Ponga, Reece Walsh was a distant third when it came to the number one debate. Whether you could have found a spot for him on the bench, Billy's much smarter than us, and I'm sure he's had conversations with Reece where he knows what he's doing.
He's a big game player. Finals, grand finals on the Kangaroos tour, Reece Walsh does lift. He can do things that no one else in the game can do. And I think the series is poorer for him not being in the first game.
Get him around the best players in the game and up against the best players in the game. And September last year in grand final.
Yeah.
Rise to the occasion.
But we mentioned Hammer and KP. I mean,
it's nothing to.
They're such
It's
good
not what.
players
It's
at the
not. It's
moment.
not even a comparison. It's just about you look at Reece solely. Anyway, Billy is a smart man. I didn't know if there was any whispers around more to why. Kalen Ponga, the chat around him at halfback, was it genuine?
I don't know. It was on Sunday. Apparently, it was bombshell news everywhere. But it ended up being a bombshell that he wasn't there. But
Yeah.
It's funny because I spoke to Freddie Fittler at Suncorp Stadium after he came off air at the Sunday Footy Show, and he basically said he thought the idea of Kalen Ponga and Cameron Munster in the halves was terrifying just because of what they can do together. He said with Harry Grant and Cameron Munster there, they can control the team, but having Munster there just chiming in when he wants. I guess he could have done that at fullback as well, but he liked the idea.
Got everyone
The
talking.
big issue was going to be him defending in the front line.
It's two variables, though. With Munster, who's only just started to play himself into a bit of form over the last couple of weeks, his form before that has been really ordinary, and he's just picked him on trust. But I just don't think you could have done that. And I think it'll be fascinating to see how Sam Walker goes defensively as well, being up in the front line, and he's going to have a lot of traffic run at him. Massive task.
Hudson Young, he'll be having a field day. But I love Sammy Walker. He's such a character. He's a bit like Jimmy Maloney, where he might try something. If it doesn't come off straight over the head, he'll try it again.
When you look at both sides, whether you say one's balanced or the Blues is small man or whichever approach, you look at these two styles of fights and, styles make fights. Geez, this game could go anywhere, which is great for the punter.
Yeah. Hopefully there's lots of points. I mean, although traditionally,
I actually-
Origin 1 tend to be low-scoring affairs.
Just a couple of years ago, it was 2-0 at halftime. That was the most intense, best game I've ever seen of footy in my life. That first 40 minutes. We don't have to have 50 points and a half of football in order for it to be a good game.
Well, just on that note, our takeaways from Magic Round, has the game gone too far in terms of whether it's speed or ball in play or six agains or whatever the factors are that are causing it?
I
Or is it
disagree.
just
We
poor
were up
against-
there, but
Good. Is it poor sides against good sides and then there were 7 blowouts?
I don't know how you're going in the tipping. You were winning it, weren't you? Are you still winning?
Hello. Check it.
If you got less than 6 or 7 out of 8 last weekend, you obviously haven't been following the game. These talk about blowouts on the weekend. We all knew there were some pretty short price favourites all weekend. So it's hardly a shock that there were some blowout scorelines simply because of the matchups. We had good teams playing bad teams or teams on the up coming up against teams that are purely out of form. You talk about the West Tigers. If you tip the West Tigers seriously, you should just abort.
But it's season average. It's also not only Magic Round average, but it's season average. Like the most the biggest margins between teams in years.
My takeaway is that there's just not enough depth across the competition as we prepare to welcome 2 more sides in. Like, that's a massive concern. Like, we've seen the massive injury tolls at teams like West Tigers, Broncos, Storm, Parramatta. They can't recover. You cannot stockpile first graders in your top 30 that aren't playing. So when you have 3 or 4 top liners go down, you're going to see those blowout results.
What I did love about Magic Round, 3 things, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head now, was Tolu Kula's try against the West Tigers. I think the first try of the game, that was pure magic, just watching him sort of, was some soft defence, but nothing short of phenomenal. The second thing, I forget the other 2 things. Just slipped my mind.
Well,
You're only too short.
The second thing, actually,
Cody Ramsey scoring.
A lot of Dragons fans.
That was 5 years.
That was amazing.
A lot of Dragons fans listen to this show, and they were blowing up the Lux about Damien Cook being denied a try in his 250th game. Of course, he's chipped through for himself just before half-time. Brian To'o never had possession of the ball. Cookie's run through, kicked it out of his hands. The NRL have since come out and said, guess what? Cookie should have got the try. Hello?
It wouldn't
no
have made a
consolation.
difference.
And the third thing, of course, the Cowboys. Very tough, very determined, gritty win against the
That
Roosters.
Cookie moment was so controversial in the box, so the journo's box, that you made a GIF, which I didn't know that you were capable of. Anyway,
That's what they call
I didn't know he could
multi-skills.
spell GIF, but anyway, that's another story.
JIF.
Jay.
I told you.
Anyway, just a quick one. The Storm back-to-back wins, 13th, 2 wins outside the top 8. Do they make final? Do they play
Yes,
finals?
I said it 4 weeks ago. They're playing finals.
Yes.
If they can jag at least 1 win during the Origin period without their best players, they'll make it.
Under the pump, out of Magic Round, leading into Magic Round, 7 of 8 losses, 5 on the trot. The Doggies.
Canterbury, we keep putting the size 9s into the Canterbury, but they just
Gus
keep giving
Gould
us
said
an
on
excuse to kick
100%
them.
footy on Monday night that they're struggling. We're struggling because of internal reasons.
I'd love to know what those internal reasons are.
Well, speaking of Gus Gould, he's putting pressure on his own players by having secret meetings with potential replacements. So
He said he had 12 or 14 of them.
Well, there you go. The one that we all saw was Bailey Hayward.
Big P card.
Yeah. How would Bailey Hayward be feeling right now when he sees him having a chat with Sam Verrills? How would Bulldogs fans be feeling after letting Reid Marnie go? Like, and clearly the Galvin Burden thing, that there's a big question mark. Connor Tracy, is that working? Does he provide...
Connor Tracy's the one for me. Ever since he signed that deal, ever since they missed out on Dream Buller, let's face it, they were in for him. They were interested in trying to get him, and he would have been the perfect fit. Even more so now, looking at Connor Tracy's form, he has fallen away. I don't know whether he's lacking confidence. I don't know whether it's an extension of what the team just lacking
wasn't
confidence.
He leading the Dally M?
He was, but he's been
for
really,
the
really
last-
poor
for
the last
first
2 or
few
3
rounds?
weeks.
Yeah.
Fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
Just the last couple of weeks. Verrills, is he a realistic shot of landing at the Dogs?
I think so. Just given that he's off contract, they're not going to offer him another one. Ollie Pascoe's playing great football there. They're not. He needs a home, and if it's not going to be in England, I think it'll be at the Bulldogs. I think it's a live chance.
Yeah. Something that really snuck under the radar, I guess, was when Nathan Cleary lobbed at the airport at 4:50 or 5 p.m. on a Saturday on Magic Round.
Just quietly, try getting an Uber from Brisbane Airport at 5:30 on a Saturday. That's another story.
He spoke about his future. That Ivan leaving earlier than everyone expected won't influence him, and it won't lead to a mass exodus out of Penrith. Joey Johns has said that he reckons...
Again, I don't want to keep referring to interviews I did on the weekend, but I spoke with Joey.
Yet you will.
But I will. Sorry. Spoke with Joey. He's actually even floated the idea. Of course, he spent time at Warrington in the Super League. He's good friends with Simon Moran, who I think's a multi-school unit, a bit of a music
I
promoter.
tried ringing him last night. There you go.
He basically said, listen, he thinks he should go to Warrington. He can be closer to Mary Fowler, of course, who's living in England. And he thinks if Nathan Cleary was to sign, money won't be an issue. Simon will throw the kitchen sink at Nathan Cleary when and if he wants to go there. And not only for Warrington as a big boost, but for the Super League. Imagine Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
He will fill every stadium at every game.
That's a competition that the NRL may soon be owning / running.
Yeah.
And it's in their best interest for it to do well. But just on the Panthers, I just find it really fascinating that a club that has been so well run and so well managed has had their coach and about 8 of their best players, their top liners, all off contract at the same time. And I appreciate that's because the managers know a new broadcast cycle is coming, and they didn't want to sign until that's done. But we could see for the first time multiple players leave. We've always lost 2 marquees every year. It could be 4 or 5 this time.
Yeah.
I'd like him to stay. I tell you what, he'd be a brilliant poker player because we peppered him
Nathan.
with several questions about his future, and he's towed the same line now for the last several interviews. He's in no rush. In his eyes, he's got 18 months to go. He's off contract at the end of 2027. He knows it's going to become a bit of an issue, but he genuinely doesn't know what he wants to do.
Again, for the Super League, a huge loss and a premature loss for the NRL. But I also read Danny Widler's column on Sunday and said having kids and a family is high on the priority list for him and Mary. So, we all are there's footy, but Nathan, as you said, he's
Peter
someone that
Wallace
looks
is
at
the
life
trump card. So the news, it's so easy. God, rugby league, it feels like weeks or years sometimes. Ivan Cleary announcing last week that the end of 2027 will be his final year as head coach. Peter Wallace's appointment, that could be the trump card
To keep Nathan.
Nathan loved Peter Wallace. Peter Wallace was as tough as they come, was missing an ACL for the last 12 months of his career. Just played hurt, played tough all the time, played in the same position as Nathan, played with Nathan. You got to think that's stacking the odds in Penrith's favour. I'll get it out.
I was inside Panthers headquarters when that announcement was made, and it would have been 100 decibels. It was just the joint went off. They all erupted. They were all in the theatre. He's obviously a really popular member of that side, but he's also not Ivan Cleary, who's won 4 on the trot. They are big, big shoes to fill.
But Ivan's a consultant. He'll be up there somewhere. Hey, Ivan, when he's over in Mallorca or something
What
with
are
his wife
consultants
Beck.
getting paid just quietly? Speaking of Ivan, I
You're
think
not
he's
talented enough to be a
Penrith still have the
consultant.
buy
not
round. I
gonna be
can
an
tell you
issue.
Ivan's got away for a few days. A few of the boys have got overseas. The Penrith boys, they're not due back till next Monday.
Not to Bali like the Knights a few years ago. Remember that drama? Anyway, NRL whisper time. Shh. What are we hearing?
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right, let's go.
Connor Watson, he only just came back from his tour of PNG. Now, on this occasion, our good friend and former colleague Michael Shamus wasn't there to show him all the sights. It was the very capable Lorna McPherson, who's their CEO. I'm hearing that he liked what he saw. They've given him a couple of days to have a think about it. There's a 2-year deal that's on the table. Obviously, he's got to weigh up if that works for his partner as well, who's a model and would have to fly in and out for work, etc., etc. And there's also probably going to be a bridging year. This will almost certainly be his last year at the Roosters. And while there was some interest from Manly, I'm thinking the Dragons will probably be that 1-year stopover if there is one.
I think everyone's a winner in that scenario. Dragons win next year. Roosters have won so far, and the Chiefs get a great experienced player over there with leadership and
This is a total whisper, but of course with Damien Cook leaving at the end of the year at the Dragons, they're putting all their eggs into one basket with Jacob Little, but Owen Paddy from Canberra.
Ooh.
Don't be surprised if he might come into the conversation.
He's a talent. Up at Magic, I was hearing the Bears relief for the Bears is imminent.
In
As
terms
to
of
exactly what?
I'm not so sure about that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think there's any appetite from the clubs. You can't bribe them the way you did with the $4 million each for the tax concessions at PNG. They would like it to happen, but it was mentioned very, very briefly in the CEO's meeting that was up there. But Andrew Abdo basically said, I haven't got anything on the table to consider. There's nothing happening in this space right now.
There are travel concessions, though, that the Perth Bears are pushing for.
That's it. Not salary cap.
Yeah.
But more.
As it stands, with the NRL pays for every club when they travel interstate and for away games, 2 nights accommodation, pay for all the flights and all the brekkies. Perth, because of the sleep patterns, they're basically pushing for that extra night, which is going to come at a cost.
Yeah,
Third night's accommodation, extra breakfasts. They just think anything they can do to cope with this 5-hour flight. And I remember speaking with South Sydney players earlier this year, them coming back from Perth, just saying it really does knock their bodies around. I know the AFL do it every week and they're immune to it, but this is going to be a real sort of shock to the system, these players flying back and forth. I keep thinking, and
the Warriors do it every second week.
They do, but we're talking 5 hours one way. I mean, that's a long flight. I mean, Auckland's 3 hours from Sydney.
Yeah, but they have to be at the airport like 2 or 3 hours.
It's still an inconvenience.
It's still travel.
It's going to be tough.
The big or spotted that I got out of Magic was one said journalist in the dressing rooms of one team getting a beer out of the team esky that not even the coach could get a beer out of.
Yeah, I reckon
Who was that?
$1.01, I know who that is.
Interesting,
Who was that?
Nicolussi.
Well, Cronulla, listen, I'm going to give you up. Stop spending all your money on Asahis, giant cans of Asahis.
Fitzy couldn't find a beer, and he
Listen,
looked over and Nico had one in
Start
his
going,
hand.
Cronulla, Dino, start going to Aldi, start getting some cheap beer, and then you can get that Leagues Club finished quicker.
All right, the good way to finish the show. We've got NRL action, of course, this weekend, but right now all the build-up is to Origin. Thank you for stepping in for Neil Breen. We'll take you anytime.
Thank
The
you.
best, you're the Craig Wing, the best bench that ever existed in rugby league.
Just a
But
quick
never
little
get a
funny
starting
story. Breeny just got back from New York. He got denied service at City Park where the New York Mets play because he didn't have his ID. The bloke looks 65 in the
His
shade.
passport. You needed his
Poor
passport.
bugger. We love you, Breeny.
And we love you for tuning in to 4020. Thanks again. 4020 is produced by Josh Towers with technical assistance by Taylor Dent and is overseen by Lisa Muxworthy and Tom McKendrick. To listen to our episodes as soon as they drop, follow 4020 wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to check out all the great pods from the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age while you're at it. Our newsrooms are powered by subscriptions, so to support independent journalism, visit smh.com.au/subscribe. I'm Zach Bailey. Thanks for listening.